to the Oliver Manalese Show with your guest, Erwin Szeto. This episode is something different. My old friend Oliver Manalese, one of the most successful rent-to-own investors I know, asked me to be his return guest on his show. Oliver is a good guy. His business is to coach people through their problems, many self-inflicted problems. I joked with Oliver when booking our interview. I told him, you'd be losing your you-know-what with me if I was your client. I know my coach already is. Anyways, the tables are turned today. This episode's a little bit different. I am the guest. Oliver is the host. Oliver is the one asking questions. I'm the one answering them. Oliver's known me for years, since about 2008-ish. That was back when we were both much younger and full of piss and vinegar. I believe we both had goals and aspirations of owning over 100 properties. Things have mellowed since then. we're much more calmer in our what we want in life. So it's cool to be interviewed by an old friend who asks those next level deep questions and to get those answers out of someone like myself that not many people know about. So without further ado, I give you some guy. He's a husband, a dad, trying to figure out the most efficient path to financial peace and to make his kid proud. I give you Erwin Szeto.
Welcome to the Oliver Manalese Show. I am your host, Oliver Manalese, and I am excited to have you join us each week for a dose of inspiration and practical insights on living a meaningful life and doing work that matters. Today, I'm excited to have Erwin Szeto back on the podcast. Erwin is someone I've known for a long time. I've seen him make a tremendous impact on so many people's lives with his work, his message, his charity. And every time I've hung out with him for our hashtag bro downs, it's like a CrossFit workout, an epic lunch. I always leave inspired. I leave empowered and just thinking big. Erwin's humble. He's honest. He's a hardworking guy, and he has a ton of wisdom to share. So I know you're going to get a ton out of today's episode. If you don't know Erwin, he hosts one of the top-ranked business podcasts on Apple Podcasts, The Truth About Real Estate Investing in Canada, which I've had the honor of being on his show twice. He is the founder of Infinite Wealth Investment Network, or IWIN. This is an exclusive real estate investment club. As well, he is deeply passionate about his philanthropic work with his charity, Hamilton Basket Brigade. A big reason I wanted to have him back on the show is because he has his new project, Wealth Hacker Conference. This is happening on November 9th in Toronto. Erwin's on his growth edge, and this is a stacked event with world-class speakers and trainers and gathering an audience, like a huge audience, bigger than anything he's ever done before. And as you'll hear on today's episode, this conference is going to be jam-packed with knowledge, information, and actionable steps for creating long-term wealth and even retiring early. The keynote for the event is #1 best-selling author and world-renowned speaker and sales trainer Grant Cardone. You'll also learn from Tom and Nick Karadza of Rockstar Realty. Best-selling author and JV expert Russell Westcott will be there. And guys, this is just going to be stacked with speakers on the topics of real estate, stocks, business, and all things wealth creation. So, Wealth Hacker Conference. This is happening November 9th in Toronto. Grab yourself a seat at wealthhacker.ca and use the promo code Oliver to save yourself 10% on admission. That's wealthhacker.ca and use the promo code Oliver to save yourself 10%. And I hope to see you there. On the show today, Erwin and I dive into the origin story of Wealth Hacker Conference, how he's been managing the stress of all the things on his plate, like his registered charity, Hamilton Basket Brigade, his podcast, his real estate investments, his business, promoting this event, trying to get people there and organizing it, and not to mention balancing all of that with time for his wife, his business partner, Cherry, his kids, time for health. We talk about his latest learning experiences and results and his fascination with stock options. We talk about his Airbnb, which turned out to be a big fail, which I'm really grateful that he was willing to share about. We talk about his unique long-term approach to planning for his kids' future with giving them and helping them build their real estate portfolios at a really young age. We get a peek in this episode of Erwin's mindset, his way of thinking that has caused him and those around him to succeed in a methodical and thoughtful way. I am super, super excited to share this episode with you guys. So much to learn from Erwin. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. My interview with the one and only Erwin Szeto. All right. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Oliver Manalese Show. I'm your host, Oliver Manalese, and I am here with the powerful Erwin Szeto. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for coming to my home to do this.
Well, yeah, I want to bring the show to you. I know you have so much on your plate, and there's so much going on in your life and in your business. And I think you're the first person to come on to the show for the second time.
Really?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, so you got the honors, man.
Oh, thank you.
Well, there's so much that I want us to talk about, but first, I want to find out about your six-pack and your genetics.
Do you want me to give the context behind the joke?
Yeah.
So I have a podcast as well, and I have one negative review. I have one-star review, and it's because what happened was a very good friend of mine was the last person to see his friend before he passed. They're on a charity bike ride, and they were together. The pack that left them behind, my friend stayed behind with his friend. He's an overweight gentleman, and so my friend was the last person to see him alive. So this gentleman was, 50s. If you Google dad bod, that would probably show up his body type. So my comment on my pod was really to take care of yourselves and, lead a life that's conducive to long-term health and clarity of mind. It's totally possible for anybody. Don't glorify dad bod. Anyone can do this. I do it myself. I've had abs for like the last 4 years. That's why I started my podcast. And the place I was coming from was trying to help people. And so this person slammed me on leaving.
This is a reviewer.
This is a reviewer on my. So I have I have over 100 reviews, right? I have one-star review. This person is saying I was body shaming, and I'm not a humble person. I shouldn't brag about these things because I just have better genetics. This person claims to be a fitness health expert, and that from her experience and expertise, to be trim and have a six-pack at the age of 40 is genetics. It's not about diet or exercise, right?
How did you take that when you saw that come in?
So I'm an open-minded person. I think you know that. So I actually copied it and sent it to the owner of the gym I belong to, because he is a fitness hound in terms of both being a practitioner. Like he has like a 550 pound deadlift. He can do he can handstand walk 100 feet. Like he's a phenom, right? And also he's a complete nerd, consumes all sorts of reading information, stuff like that, right? These are the people I love to have around me because they know infinitely more than I do about subjects. So I sent it to him, and he said some other things that I won't share. He also said that person's completely wrong, right? Genetics obviously plays a part. Anyone who competes or tries hard and works in the gym, genetics plays a part, right? But also, he's saying lifestyle, diet mean way more than genetics. And just think of it as a whole, like take a step back. For anyone who's worked hard, like you work hard to be trim and you eat properly, right? For anyone who actually put in a lot of effort to have results, it's kind of like a slam against all of them.
Yeah, I found that a little insulting, very offending. Mm-hmm. Because for me, what I heard and what I saw was, oh, well, I guess I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I don't need to take responsibility over my day-to-day lifestyle, my eating, my workouts, my genetics. It's pretty, it's deterministic.
Yeah.
It's deterministic. It's like I have no control over my destiny.
Right.
And to me, I think that kind of promotes like victim mentality.
Yeah. I'm a victim of my genetics.
I'm a victim. Yeah.
Right. And imagine this person could be a parent, and this person actually is paid to train people. And if this is what she's telling people, oh, I'm sorry, Oliver, you can't achieve these results because of the way you were born.
Yeah. You might as well just, stop trying.
Right.
You don't need to read all those books. You don't need to.
Yeah. You don't need to be your best. Right. I know you can't, like, neither of us can slam dunk a basketball, but it's fine, right? Like, just be your best self.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, man, it's just weird. And also with all the stuff that I'm putting out there, more hate keeps coming back. And really at the end of the day, I, as being an open-minded person, I actually evaluate what they're writing to see if there's actually anything truth behind it. And it's not. There isn't. Not based on the smartest people I know.
Yeah.
Because I'm far from the smartest person I know.
Well, I find that to be an interesting conversation. I mean, when you posted about it, it blew up. Like, so many people started commenting on it. And I think it really hit a nerve. And who you are to me and what I see you as is somebody who is about empowering people and having people realize that they have a choice. Yeah. And you can control your destiny health-wise, financially, with your family. And like that one review is like a complete misrepresentation. It's complete opposite of what you stand for. So that's why I find that to be so interesting. You put so much content and you do so much good with everything that you do. And then this person is clearly not a regular listener or someone who doesn't understand the whole context of who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Like, no one's perfect, right? If like, for example, I believe even if someone messes up, as long as they're a good-hearted person, I'm not going to judge them for the mess up. Say they cut someone off in traffic by accident, right? I'm not going to judge them on that. 99% of the time, they're good people. Like, they're good parents. They contribute to society. They give to charity. They go to church, whatever. That's a good person. And the world actually needs more of these people. Yeah. So don't go slamming people, right? Especially something like puts up so publicly. And man, if their name was published, it would look so bad on them.
I know.
Right? Like, oh boy. And like, if their clients read that, like, like you said, you're victimizing people, right? And I only share stuff that I do because I can speak to it.
Well, this really, it alludes to so much that I'm interested in when it comes to like what you've been up to in the last couple of months. You've been doing a lot more online. You've been showing your face more. Both you and your wife, Cherry, are doing a lot more videos, and your presence is really being felt in a different way beyond just your voice and your live events. You're actually showing up and showing the behind the scenes of your life. But just for context, for the people who may not have heard the first episode with you, I highly recommend that you go there. But Erwin, you are a philanthropist. You're an entrepreneur. You're a multi-time award-winning investor and realtor. And I have this beautiful list of the things that you're up to right now. You are the head of the Hamilton Basket Brigade, which is a charity which I've had the privilege of being a part of. And for context, it's, there's vulnerable families in need during different holidays. And I think you've changed the model. The model when I was there, it was putting together fresh meals, complete meals and actually hand delivering it and being inside of someone's house and actually giving them this gift and seeing the look in their eyes and their kids' eyes. And it's like, you're delivering hope. Like, you're really delivering hope, because it's like someone went out of their way to organize this and thought of us enough that they brought food for us the day before holidays so that we have a meal. So Hamilton Basket Brigade, you're the head of Titan Investment Real Estate Team.
Yeah. Or we changed the name. Now it's iWin Real Estate.
iWin Real Estate. Okay. And that's the other thing. You're one of the founders of iWin, which is Infinite Wealth Investment Network, which is a meetup that you have where real estate investors from around the GTA, they come and commune and they discuss what's possible when it comes to wealth generation. And more recently, you are one of the founders of Wealth Hacker Conference.
Yes.
Which is a thing that I'm really interested in talking to you more about, because you're gathering together and you're having people come onto the stage with, the one and only Grant Cardone. He's like the headliner. You have Tom and Nick Karadza, Russell Westcott, Marianne Gillespie, who great episode on your show with Marianne. Love that. Your wife,
that was
Carrie.
the first time she ever told that story.
Yeah. Really, I didn't really know too much about her, and I've been meeting a lot more realtors who actually get coached by her. Yeah, so it was really great to hear that, and then also to have her on the stage. And you've been bringing up Omar Khan and Matthew. What's Matthew's last name?
Todman.
Matthew Todman a lot in our interactions, and they've been making a difference in your life. And I'm sure we'll get to that, which is the options trading, the stocks that you've been involved in. Jay Gabrani, which is another like deep, heartfelt two-parter on your podcast, The Truth About Real Estate Investing in Canada.
Yeah.
That was an intense, deep conversation. And literally when I met him after hearing that, I was just like, wow, I was blown away. I told him like how thankful I was for him sharing so vulnerably on your show. So you have like,
that was the first time he shared that public. That was the first time he shared his story publicly.
Yeah. And I highly recommend people you check out Erwin's podcast. It's
Thank you.
So powerful, the work that you are doing.
Just to clarify, Jay has shared his story. He actually went into the more specific detail. Like, spoiler alert, she didn't just pass. She took her own life. So that's different, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's something that I think a lot of us are starting to see more and more. And how he shares about what he went through and how he handled it, and how he stopped so many different things to kind of just like heal from it. And then also, and because he was so set up from his investments, he was able to actually be there for his kids, be there for his family.
There was that, and also just sharing how to prevent this from happening again. So it was largely from substance abuse of a prescribed medication, and that led to depression. And just think of this. This is someone who's upper class, lives in a nice home, lives in a nice neighborhood, young, wonderful family, great husband, and it didn't work out for her, right? That was a life that she couldn't continue with, right? Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great way to honor all those people who are facing those challenges, right? So that they can hear, oh, wow, there's other people who've gone through it or are going through it. I'm not alone. There's resources, there's people I can talk to.
Yeah, talk to Jay.
Yeah. So I think that's I think it's so beautiful that your conversations, they continue to evolve on your show.
Yeah, we're just the show is about sharing what people need to know. It's called The Truth About Real Estate Investing, but it's not just real estate investing. It's the truth. It's right. I asked these people to share these stories because people need to know, right? Like we're human. By definition, as soon as you say something to someone, we're human, it means we're flawed, right? That includes mentally. Everybody has tough spots. You just have to do the best you can with what you got. And I'm not saying I can cure anyone or anyone's perfect, or I'm not a doctor. But just be cognizant of how you feel all the time. Like, for example, I know I will feel like crap after the conference, right? I will come off.
You're on an adrenaline rush right now, eh?
I know that the day of will be a mega high. Probably the highest dopamine high I've ever had in my life. And then when it's over, it'll be like, oh, it's over. Right. So my plans are, avoid alcohol, for example, and get lots of sleep and book myself for things I can't miss the following Monday. Right. Which would be like, for myself, it'll probably be to be in the gym. Yeah. Right. Something I can't miss.
Get a massage.
Yeah, that'd be too. Yeah, maybe afterwards. Like but I'm going on a tangent. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. So you've been really busy with the conference. Like, what have your days been like? Like, how have you been spending your days recently? Because you have a team that you're managing, you have your iWin meetings that you're doing, and then you're promoting Wealth Hacker. Like, there's a lot on your plate. Like, how are you managing the day? How are you handling the day?
A lot of the stuff that we've done up to this point, for example, having the podcast, building an email list. My wife is no different. She's done lots of speaking events. She has a wonderful free book that helped her build her email list. So a lot of our days is promoting the event, speaking to influencers like yourself. I've done a lot of podcasts in the last month, with a lot more coming. Doing a lot of copywriting, creating a lot of advertising and offers. And my job is to find sponsors for the event. And sell tickets. And then still I have one significant renovation still going on in my investment portfolio. I'm selling one of my houses. My kids are 4 and 5 years old. And so I don't want to sacrifice that time.
So, for example, today I was there to drop them off at the bus. I'll have dinner with them tonight. I'll help put them to bed. So I'm still a parent too. And so for even like the weekends, for example, we still block off a lot of time, like Sundays, family time, for example. So lots going on. Yeah, lots going on.
How uncomfortable are you?
The most I've ever been.
Yeah. Like can you describe what that discomfort is? Is it the not knowing? Is it the unpredictability of it? Is it you're making bold promises and asking a lot from people? Like what's going on?
Again, the cool part is that we've built such a foundation of relationships. So, for example, you'll get an email from me this week because you've been a past member of my podcast. So I've been asking people who have been on my podcast, past speakers at my events, if they'll share what we're up to on November 9th, and there'll be a list of things that we're promoting, and promoting as in we have a lot of things that we're giving away as part of our promotion, like a digital book. I've done quite a bit of Airbnb stuff. So I have a demo on how to do a market analysis, 45-minute video. We have one promo that's for people who are interested in the stock stuff that we're doing. That's an hour-long video, an exclusive video that was only presented to my private membership group. So that's that. And what I'm learning in this process as well is nobody really has the right answer how to do all of this. It's really, you have to be comfortable with experimenting and trying like everything, and then going back, testing and measuring. But how am I dealing? It is overwhelming. And then to give context, overwhelming, I've done a lot of overwhelming stuff, right? I have competed in martial arts where someone's trying to strangle me. I have a deathly fear of heights. So I've done everything in that realm. I've done Sientara Edge Walk 3 times. I've done skydiving. I've done bungee jumping. I basically have designed the last 10 years of my life to make myself uncomfortable all the time to get used to it. And then you're
inoculating yourself.
I believe, anyone who's challenged themselves, well, there's the saying, and it's quite true. I don't mean to underappreciate it, but change is the only constant. With change comes being uncomfortable. So get used to being uncomfortable, right? So everything I do is getting used to being uncomfortable, right? I was running a message to one of my mentors, Don Campbell, the other day about how grateful I was for the opportunities he and his group provided me. For example, the most uncomfortable thing for me was public speaking.
Yeah.
So I approached one of his staff, because there's one of his staff is the one that books the speakers, right? I approached her. I basically had to black myself out. I literally went to her and said, I blacked myself out. As in, I made this decision. I'm following through with it. I asked her if I could speak on the subject of investing in Hamilton in front of their audience of 350 people. The recording goes to 600 people. And the only way I could do it was I blacked myself out. Basically, I can't think of any other situation to do such a thing.
What do you mean black yourself out? Is it that you did it and you don't even remember what happened because you just forced your way to show up even though there was fear?
I basically had to shut my mind off.
Yeah.
And just said the words to commit myself to something that was absolutely nuts to me. And understand, like,
that's pure courage. That's pure courage.
No, I don't know if it's pure courage.
Well, courage is acting in the face of fear.
Yeah. Maybe,
like,
sure.
There's still fear, but you still did it. You took action.
I took action. And that's probably what separates me from most people. Like, anyone who knows me knows I'm not that bright. I was a mid-level student in school. The objective was, I knew that speaking on stages is really important to anyone's business. Mm-hmm. And so that was what drove that behavior.
That's a defining moment then for you.
Oh, it was a huge moment.
Like, if you didn't put yourself and expose yourself to the possibility of, no, Erwin, we don't want, like, the possible rejection.
Yeah.
If you didn't expose yourself to the chance of rejection and also the chance of, yes, like, we would love to have you come onto the stage.
Right.
So much wouldn't have played out the way that it's played out the last decade or so.
Yeah, it was big.
Huge.
But there were a lot of steps before that too. Because I used to go networking meetings wearing a Hamilton Tiger Cats jerseys.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the legend.
And that's exposing yourself, which is unnatural, right? It's to put yourself out there is a natural for most. That's why public speaking is like is often a greater fear than death. But that's been my life. I've just been making decisions that are in my best interests and my family's best interests, and really the world's best interests. And I can explain that later. But yeah, that's really what makes me different than most, I think. I'll take good information and then I'll go implement. That's always my thing. It's partly my fault as well. I've been tested and I came back as a dopamine chaser, which is actually common among like gamblers, which is why I'm like a social media addict.
Yeah, right? you mentioned that
yeah.
in the last episode.
Yeah.
So you need to like generate it for yourself.
Yeah.
Moments where you can experience that.
Exactly.
That elation.
Yeah. Because if you tell me like, for example, like, oh, there's this great new supplement, multivitamin, gives you so much mental clarity. If I was less polite, I'd be on my phone ordering it right now. Because I need that hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my nature. So I have to understand these things about myself too. And still be able to make decisions for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because when my naturopath found this out, he goes, this is actually very common among serial gamblers. Right. And I had to repress a lot of it. Because, for example, I love video games, which is like the ultimate dopamine addict.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for gambling, I'm just a logical thinker. I know that casinos didn't build those wonderful casinos and become publicly traded.
Winning,
yeah, exactly. Right. That's just logic taking over for me. And the same thing with video games. I love them, but I gave away my Xbox probably around 7 years ago now.
Yeah. I would love to get mine checked because I have an addictive personality as well.
Mm-hmm.
The best way is to just not entertain it. Like video games was something I grew up with and I was crazy about it with my brother all the time. And I think it was maybe about 10 or more years ago. I was just like, I'm just not going to touch. I'm not even going to look at it because I've literally sat and watched my brother play for like 3 hours because I'm so entertained. And like even just watching. And I was just like, oh my God, like I would get sucked into it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's how they're designed.
Maybe we have some similarities in that sense.
And social media is no different. It's been designed to retain your attention. Right. The longer they retain you, the more ads they can show you, the more money they can make. Right.
Me and Channel, we rewatched The Social Network recently, and there's one scene where the girl's just like, "Yeah, it's this new thing called the Facebook. Like, this is crazy. I've been logging on like 5 times a day," and I'm like, "That's nothing."
Yeah, that's nothing. I'm worse than that.
Now.
I'm way worse than that.
So I want to know the birth of this, like the origin story of Wealth Hacker Conference, because it seems like it just came out of nowhere. So I know there's a backstory, and I would love for you to share like how it originated. Did you have the idea before, and someone kind of like helped you germinate that seed? Like what happened?
The idea is, again, I'm in business. I have to generate leads to bring people into our funnel so that we can help them out. So my business is one of my main businesses is we help people from the Toronto area buy investment properties, generally west of the city, Hamilton, Brantford, St. Catharines, right? So we have to attract business. We often have to do something. We do, the best way is often to put people into a room and we can tell them what we do. Right? That way we can make them aware of the benefits of of being an investor so that they'll work with us. And then our coaches can work with them and we earn a real estate commission that way. Right? It's not an ugly thing. we have a multitude of multimillionaire clients, all generated through real estate. But anyways, so the idea was, let's do a class. We'll do first started with the idea of doing a free class for like 30 people. Right? And I thought, I think we do better. I think we get even more people. So I reached out to a friend of mine who has the biggest podcast. And then we said, hey, let's partner up on this, right? Because we don't compete. You're east, I'm west. And like, okay, great. We can probably put like 60 people in a room, 200 people in a room, maybe, right? And then we thought about it. And then there's the old rule. Free is not always necessarily the best thing. Those who pay attention, right? So like, okay, let's do a paid event, right? And we thought, yeah, we'd love, like I've done events since 2014, just nothing on this scale before. Like the biggest we've ever done is like 230 people. We're tracking at well over 1,000 somewhere for this event. Anyways, So we thought about, well, we'll hire a speaker because we need to, that'll help us draw people in. And so we thought about, like someone from Shark Tank, for example. And then we were talking to an event planner about this, and our event planner is very well connected. She knew our story. She understood who we were, our resources, what we're capable of, all the charity work that you discussed earlier. She understood that we're good people. So then she reached out to one contact, and then an introduction was made, and then we got to Steve Spray, who was the vice president at Grant Cardone's business. And then we started negotiating, and so we found out he was available for the dates that we wanted, and we booked him. Yeah.
How long ago was that?
It was a long process.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very long process.
A year ago?
We started probably, wow. This idea was probably birthed summer of last year, summer of 2018. Yeah, the idea was birthed in 2018, summer of 2018. We started searching for a keynote.
Yeah.
And I think we only signed them in maybe April or May. Yeah, wow. Of this year. Yeah. So we haven't had a very long runway.
So it was months and months of kind of going back and forth?
Yeah. But again, like nothing could really be done until we had them signed. Like we weren't going to risk all sorts of budgets and resources.
And you've never done that before?
Not on this level.
Yeah, not on this
But we're 10xing.
For 1,000. Yeah.
We're 10xing. All right. And not even just the people count. Like the budget is very different than what we're used to.
Than what you're used to doing.
Yeah. And we don't know where we'll end up. I think things are tracking really well right now. It's been an interesting process. It'll be a wonderful story to share with people who plan on doing like big events like this. But afterwards, like it'll be a wonderful case study.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's huge, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
That's a big step to take.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. I've never spoken in front of over 700 people before.
So you decided, yeah, we can do 10x. We can do 10 times what we think. And to do that, we're going to need to find like a brilliant keynote speaker. Mm-hmm. And you went on the search and you locked it up.
Yeah. That was the easy part, though. That was the easy part.
Wow.
And then the wonderful thing about real estate is that's what's been funding all of this, the initial part, right? Like truth about real estate is we actually know events that have failed, and then people weren't paid back, right? Versus we can actually financially back this and not have to take on partners, which is lovely. Like, you've worked with joint venture partners. I've worked with joint venture partners. You don't always necessarily share the same vision.
That's right.
When there's money involved, then people think opinions can clash. Yeah, it can complicate. It can complicate. Things are already complicated.
And the business matters.
Yeah, and the business matters. Like for example, we get people's input all the time. And like one thing I've learned is, ideas are wonderful. Everyone's full of ideas. It's the execution that it comes down to. And execution seems to be the shortest thing in supply in almost everyone's business, really. Right? The ideas are easy, right? Like you understand, like you're a coach. You can give a person the best coaching. It still comes down to the execution, right? So that's generally something that I've done well with is execution of a lot of practices in theory, like real estate, right? It didn't take me long from learning to applying, right? And then we want the same thing for everyone that comes into our world is to have what we have, right? And to be completely honest, I've never been clearer on how soon or how comfortable my retirement is. And I want the exact same thing for everyone. And then people might say, "Oh, you're just money hungry." No, understand. And if people who know me well,
you're business minded.
I am business minded, but the end goal is still to change the world, right? For example, sometimes there's benefits of being on social media. Someone was raising money for a charity in, I think it was Kitchener, Ontario. They're not a registered charity, small charity, right? I think they have an operating budget of just a few $1,000s. Understand our operating budget's around 40,000. We're significantly larger. So I see them post, and what their charity does is, so understand our charity, we've always been trying to help the most vulnerable, right? So I saw someone post trying to raise money for a charity in Kitchener, Ontario. What they do is they put together care packages for kids, for foster kids who are just pulled out of their homes and put into the intermediary home during Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And then my heart, and the way I respond to bad things happening to people is I just drop F-bombs everywhere and I get angry, right? And just think again, when I tell you about the charity work that we do, I am looking for the most vulnerable. And who is more vulnerable than like a child who just got taken from their home? When you get taken from your home, you don't have time to pack, right?
That's traumatizing.
Oh, it's horrific. It's horrific. And so people who think like money is a bad thing, here's what I want to do if I have a boatload of money. And I'll get there. I will get there. I was thinking, this is just a quick brainstorm. This is how my mind just goes on a treadmill and just goes nuts. This is what I was thinking. I'll rent a bus and I'll load them all up and we'll take them all to like a trampoline park and we'll throw them a frickin' party, right? I'll feed them. I'll clothe them, everything, right? And that's what I want to do. That's just me. Like that's what I'll do, right? And I may even just do this anonymously.
Well, you know what? Okay, so here's the difference. When you just sharing that, it speaks to what your mindset is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because if people are looking from the outside in and think you're just about the money, then why wouldn't Erwin just write a check and just be done with it?
Mm-hmm. I have done that too.
If that solves the thing. I mean, that's not that it's a bad thing, but you look at your charity work and it's like bringing people together, everyone working for a common goal, and then actually being in the presence of the person who's going to get the benefit.
Yeah.
Like seeing the look on their face, like actually going through the entire emotional experience of delivering that hope, delivering that food, which is like, it's very experiential and it's very, it's in person and there's a intimacy and there's a warmth to it. And just this example, it's like, well, I wouldn't just, I can do that too. I can write a check, but also I would load up a bus full of them and we'll go to a trampoline park. We'll eat an amazing dinner. We'll all share stories, get to know each other and just know that they're seen, know that they're cared for. Right. Like that's to me, that's super powerful.
Right. Well, that's what I would do in my own city. For example, that we're talking about Kitchener. I would probably just make an anonymous donation and just follow along on social media. Yeah. And, talk is great. I always believe talk is cheap. Actions speak louder. And I've done this. I actually don't tell anyone these things. One of my neighbors was posting on social media how they need to raise X amount of dollars so that their kid could participate in Easter seals. So they have a special needs child who rides the short bus. They don't walk well, communicate well, those sorts of things, right? And then again, for charity for Easter seals, if you raise enough money, you get to go to a hockey practice with the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? I know they're big hockey fans. So I made the anonymous donation and then I got to watch on social media and enjoy it, right? Because that is way more important than money to me, right? The couple hundred,
you can use it to give.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had the time of their lives. They were posting pictures with like Michael Nylander and Austin Matthews and Freddie Anderson, and and it wasn't just the whole family got to participate. So that's what money is to me. It is there's freedom for myself, but it's also it's a lot of fun to spend. Kind of like Christmas. Like it's better to give than receive. And I'm completely like that. My personality is I don't really like receiving.
You're a giver.
Yeah, I way prefer to give. I way prefer to give. It's way more fun, right? Yeah, and then, even like with the conference, like 10% of the profits will go to charity. You asked about why we did the conference as well. Anyone who runs a charity or has done fundraising is really hard. It is hard. It's a hard value proposition to sell somebody. Like you give me money, good things happen, right? To somebody else. It's not always easy to demonstrate that value to them. So instead we're focusing more on growing our businesses so that we can fund our charity. Right. And like my goal is to leave half of what I'm worth. My wife and I, the goal is to leave half of what we're worth to the Basket Brigade charity. So our operating name is Hamilton Basket Brigade, but we actually left the name more generic so we could grow it. So the Basket Brigade charity is our official name. So we'll leave half of what we own or $5 million, whichever's more. Hoping not to pass that soon. So anyways, so $5 million is our plan. And then I want to earn 10%. I want that money invested to earn 10%. So then my charity has an operating budget of $500,000 to implement change. Right. But again, like people who call me money hungry, like, yeah, I want a lot of money
so that you can
implement more change.
Yeah.
Directly without government assistance, as frugally as possible. Like our charity work, everything's donated. Even like legal fees and stuff like that. I'll write a check to pay for it. Right. Accounting work, my wife donates it. Right. We need stuff. Like I hired a videographer, for example. I just paid for it. Right. Out of my own pocket. The charity didn't pay for it. Stuff like that. So we are like a no frills charity.
Yeah.
Our admin costs are like
very lean, very efficient.
It's like wrapping paper, masking tape, and scissors. Stuff like that. That's our overhead. No labor, no gas, no cars, no wages, nothing. Right? We're lean and mean. And, people again say, oh, you're greedy. Like, find me a charity or government institution that can run this lean. Right.
Well, and I think it does take that business mind to run things at a very efficient and effective way, either as opposed to having like a overinflated budget or a salary. There's that. I think that's what's so powerful about what you're doing. I mean, the last time I was there, you guys run it like a machine. I was just like, this is so fast. Like you guys are just so effective. Everything is like Henry Ford style assembly line, like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Everyone's in and out. You get your list. Yeah. Okay, you drive off, go, boom, boom. Like I think it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours of my time.
If it was that long.
I mean, I think it was maybe faster than that. I think I got like 5 houses. And then what you're doing now, you're going deep with it because you're actually getting an opportunity to adopt a family. Can you share what that looks like for people who are listening? Because Wealth Hacker Conference is going to be such a powerful event. And what you're doing is you are catalyzing change for 1,000 people who are going to take responsibility, take ownership over their financial destiny to create a sense of wealth and abundance for themselves and their families. Yeah. And with the hope that they all have causes that are close to their heart.
Absolutely.
And that they all have something that they want to make a difference in. Right. And that freeing themselves of the shackles because of their ability to access finances and leverage their finances and put that towards the things that matter to them. Yeah. This thing is so huge. The fact that you're redirecting it and going deep with the families where you're like, okay, you get to adopt a family.
Yeah.
So it goes from this massive thing that you're doing and then it's actually individual. It's like eye to eye, heart to heart.
It's not just individual though, because if I can teach more people to become millionaires, multimillionaires, like if you're a good person, you're likely going to help people. If nothing else, you help your own family. Yeah. If nothing else, you pay off your own mortgage and you can be mortgage free, right? When we talk about wealth hacking, it still comes down to the individual. It means what it means to you. Like my cousin just joined the army, for example.
Wow.
He's not an overly ambitious person. That's just fine. That's who he is. But he's joining the army as a mechanic. He'll make a really good salary and he'll get a government pension, right? I'm through the roof for him, right? Well, I'll teach him other stuff when he's ready, when he wants some side hustles. He's only like 19 years old. Yeah, when he's ready, right? But for anyone who wants more, right? Like we will help you stretch, right? Because we have tons of clients who never thought they'd own an investment property, let alone 10. And we help them get there.
Yeah, share one of those stories so that people can get an idea. Some people who are listening might be early on in their investing journey. Maybe they're just opening up their eyes to it. And I think they need to hear like what is actually possible with working with somebody like you and your coaches, so that you're not doing it alone and you're following a proven system, a proven plan, and you're working with a team who does it all day long.
Yeah, all day long. And we're part of a larger team. So our most common client is usually parents from the GTA area. They're usually like in their mid to late 30s or in their 40s, and they're realizing it's only now hitting them how much it's going to cost to send their kids to university. and it's only hitting them now, how precarious their work can be.
Is that like the breaking point? Something wakes them up to be like...
Something has woken them up, as in like they don't, like it was just an article today or yesterday in the Financial Post about how many people do not have anywhere near enough money to retire, right? I don't recall exactly, but I think it's over half of Canadians who don't have a pension. And when I mean pension, you mean like a good one, like government pension. Because the Sears pension, we know where that went, right? The Stelco pension, we know where that went, right? Like, it's just sad. It is so sad. So people are, I don't know what it is, but they eventually realize they have money troubles. They may be fine today, but they are not going to be fine tomorrow, right? Like university, I was talking to someone who is a coach for young people for like age to 15 to 25. And we're talking about university, and she's telling me about her own kids, saying that her kids, so they made their kids pay as much as they could for university. So one of their kids had to work on a farm for 60 hours during the summer, right? Whoa, right? And that, that's great. Probably build a lot of character. It probably still won't cover all the costs. Right. And then especially if they wanted to go like one of the more expensive programs like business, or if they want to go post grad, especially the expensive stuffs like law, business, medical, dentistry, all those are really expensive before housing costs. So I think parents are just realizing these things, and then they come to us, right? Also their own retirement. If you don't have a pension, again, 60% of you will not retire comfortably.
Like 60% will have to work.
We'll have to work in their retirement years. And that's something I'm not interested in.
People need to like really let that land.
Yeah.
60% of Canadians are going to work
in retirement.
Yeah.
And we're all living longer. And my own personality is I don't like to ask for help. So like it kills me for the idea that people put out GoFundMes to help asking for financial assistance. And I'm no different. I lay awake in bed. My daughter was about a week old. I'm like, I have all this responsibility now, and I couldn't sleep. So I was Googling, how much does it cost to send a kid to university? Literally. And there's a Globe Mail article from 2015, and based on inflation, it was going to cost $70,000, I think it was. $70,000 just tuition alone for 4 years for an undergraduate degree. So then, again, let that sink in. How long does it take anyone to save $70,000? Right?
The average person.
Yeah, how long does it take the average person to save $70,000 a year? And then understand my requirements are I do not want to retire late. I want to actually retire in my 40s, right? So then I bought her a house, right? My daughter was born in January. We closed on her house in March. And then I did the same for my son. Took a little longer. I think my son was 6 months old before we bought him his house. And our customers are no different. A lot of them are trying to create financial security, basically an education savings plan for their child. And then what we do is we do this every day, right? My wife's an accountant to small businesses and real estate investors. She does over 200 returns for a lot of real estate investors and realtors and stuff like that. So we know exactly what the best investments are. And
that's your RESP. So you buy an investment property for your kid while they're super, super young. And by the time they're old enough to decide if they're going to go to college or university, it's there.
Like, it's there.
It's there. And if they decide to do something else, it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah. Well, just think for my own kids, like by the time they're 25, the house will probably be paid off. Oh. Right. And they're free and clear asset, and who knows what it's worth. Right. Like, is it out of the world that it would be worth $1 million? And they can do whatever they want with it. Right. Obviously my plan is that they be pragmatic, but that can form a down payment for their first home. I don't expect them to live in it. Right. Or they can just keep collecting the cash flow, whatever. But then we have options. And that's the lovely thing about money. It gives you options, gives you freedom. Like in the States, for example, the number one cause of bankruptcy in the States is healthcare, because it's private. Number two is student debt. Yeah, I know.
1.5 trillion student debt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's massive. And so let's go back to what we actually do is what we do with our clients is we know what the best practices are in terms of.
So they come to you with, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm going to retire. I don't know like if my pension's going to even be there. My kids,
they don't tell us they're
freaking
freaking
go
out.
to school. Yeah, but they are, right? Like in turn, like there's a reaction. This is they're coming to you as a reaction to, oh, like time is ticking right now, and I got to do something. So I'm talking to you. Yeah, and so like
there has to be motivation.
What's the path that you guide them on?
So again, we know because we practice this weekly, daily. I'm an investor too. I own 10 properties. I know exactly what the best practices are in terms of where a property should be, what style of property, what type of renovations to do. And my whole team knows this because I've trained them personally and along with property managers and contractors. For example, if anyone's worried about, oh, I don't have the time, you know what? We can help people buy property without actually even seeing it. Because to be honest, there's a good chance that we know what a good investment property looks like better than they do. Yeah. We know the zoning, we know like height requirements, we know driveway requirements, all those sorts of things, right? So then we actually have quite a few clients that will write offers, conditional home inspection, so they have a chance to see it before they finalize it, and that saves them a lot of time as well. You can make one trip out, and you get to see the property with a home inspector of your choice. You can choose whoever you want, right? And then that way, there's a lot of benefits to that. You save time, and also we're often writing those offers before anybody else will. Right. So then we get ahead of competition. Full service. Yeah, full service. Yeah. And then if you're worried about like management and tenants and toilets and stuff like that, my property manager in Hamilton is a former police officer, 20 years experience on the force. And he's over 6 feet tall and 220 pounds. Right. He is, he's not a small guy. And his greatest skill is, and this is in his own interest as well, is he wants great tenants because that means less trouble for him. More money comes in for everybody. It's win-win-win, right? So, and he'll locate the tenants for you. Our vacancy rates are nothing. And again, this all goes back to best practices. We know what to be offering tenants so that our vacancy rates are like nothing, right? So yeah, full service. You need a contractor. We got somebody. You need anything. We got somebody. And it's the same people that we use personally. Right. Everyone's free to use whoever they want. Or you're free to use whoever we use. And that is the best advice I can give any investor is, especially if they're starting out, is find someone you align with and just do exactly what they do. Right. If you don't know what they do, go ask what they do. Go see what they do. Can you give me the addresses? Like I'll drive by, you can have some pictures, what are the numbers like? Because we're open book. Right. You want to know my numbers? Here's my numbers. This is what I rent for. This is who manages it. This is what I paid for it. This is what the renovations cost. Because that's what's needed to educate people.
I think it's just so important that we realize that when it comes to matters like this, where we might not be the expert and we might be just starting to dive into it, but we're ready to take action. It's so important that we realize there's going to be a level of stress and anxiety because it is new and might be the first time. But when you let go and trust a process that's proven, all that anxiety and stress kind of goes down. It kind of drops. Yeah. And so you could actually be free and clear to take action, to actually do something. If you just follow the plan, follow the path.
Yeah. That's been my whole life. Like I mentioned earlier, how someone gives me good advice, I go implement. Right. I obviously validate the source. I check references. I look at what they've done. Right. Well, like we talked about social media, for example. I only follow people who have students who deliver results, who achieve results, right? There's one guy who's out there. He's a lovely entertainer who's an entrepreneur, but I've yet to meet any of his followers who are successful. So I stopped following that person. I am interested in results. End of the day. Nothing.
So what kind of things have people been able to, like your clients been able to accomplish?
So we have we have clients. Our main clientele is usually parents who want to be able to retire earlier and help their kids through school and get the first down payments type of stuff. So yeah, those exact people. We have we have one client, her name is Margaret. She's so financially secure now. She's building a custom home, chalet in Collingwood near Blue Mountain.
Oh wow.
Right? Like that's amazing. Right? I have this one client, her name is Evelyn. She started with us when she was 26 years old. It's now been like 8 years, and she bought not one boat, she bought a second boat to replace the first one. The first one was too small at 20 something feet. So she had to buy a bigger one.
Too small.
At 30 something feet. And then she retired her husband. Right? They own 10 properties. Doesn't take much. right? It doesn't take that much. People overthink things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is consistent with our clients is, we show them a path and we help them along. We have my friend Kosh, like he was able to build a pension for himself, quote unquote pension for himself with like 6 properties. But also on he knows his path now, right? Same idea. He's father of 2 young kids. He wants to retire his wife. He's gone full-time investor. Now he's building houses, right?
So it really opens up doorways for people.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. And then even like and then people don't have to be as aggressive as this. I consider myself an intermediate investor. For the most part, I buy 8 or 9 out of 10 houses I buy or just buy on MLS. It's because I know where the market's going.
Yeah.
I don't really know where the market's going. I just been really accurate in my guessing.
Yeah.
Right. I buy mostly in Hamilton, St. Catharines. Anyone can just go check the last 10 years how those markets have done and how the rents have done. Right. I've just been really accurate. Even during the housing crisis, when they announced the housing fairness plan and the market came down, from top to bottom, it came down 10% in my market. Right. I still bought 2 houses on the way down because I knew where the market was going and it worked out right.
Yeah. You're thinking more long term.
Like people make the mistake that thinking of investing, this is investing. Like, no, this is a business to me. Like, this is my livelihood. This is my family's savings plan. I am a complete student of economics. I look at macro. I follow what Trump tweets, like him or not. He moves the market. I follow what the U.S. Fed Bank does because all those things affect what happens here in Canada. Right. I follow the U.S. and China trade stuff. I am.
What are the things that concern you?
Concern me?
Like on a macro level.
On a macro level?
Yeah, things that might not be necessarily on our radar.
Right.
That you're paying attention to because you are a student of economics.
So I'm deathly fearful.
Well, I mean, all of your motivation to act. Some people will not realize like that is like you're protecting yourself. Yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your family, you're protecting your family and the future of your family.
Like when I bought my daughter's house, I wasn't thinking I was going to make all this money. I was thinking, there's a chance this house could double. There's a chance this house could triple, quadruple, whatever. And then what's going to happen when she's 20 years old and wants to buy a home?
Yeah.
Right? It's largely thought as a hedge. Right? All these things are happening. Immigration is something like 400,000.
You're self-insuring in a way.
Yeah. What if? Because I say it to people all the time. Like, what'd you buy your house for? They'll say whatever. And I'll ask them, like, would you be surprised if your house doubled in the next 10 years? Like, no, I wouldn't be surprised. Don't you think you should have 2?
Buy another one.
Yeah. Don't you think you should have 2?
Yeah.
And I'm like, then the lights go off. Right? Because I'm thinking the same thing. What if?
Yeah. So what's the things that you're noticing that we should be concerned about? Like,
so things that we should be concerned about are, so first let's look at what's going on. We're looking at our governments are always want more immigration because we need it for our tax base to be able to fund CPP and all our pensions and stuff to fund the tax coffers, right? So look at every government, every federal government, they've increased that number, right? Even all the people that hated Harper, he actually set the number higher. Trudeau said it even higher. Probably the next guy will set it higher. So it's all pro-immigration. We're going to have statistically about 37% of those Canadians end up in Ontario, Golden Horseshoe. So we have that, right? Anyone from this area just looks around.
A flood of people. There's
a flood of people, and there's no one's building. No one's building houses.
Yeah.
And if they're building houses, they're in the sticks, right? Not everyone wants to live in the sticks. So there's that, right? Interest rates are low. Trump is telling his bank, the U.S. Fed, to discount rates faster and more aggressively. Right?
So more access.
Yeah. He wants more money flowing into the system. He wants more lending. He wants to push inflation, right? He wants to grow their economy. Canada was not going to sit here idle. They'll likely match. Same thing with the rest of the world. Australia just had a cut this week or last week. The Eurobank just had a cut about 2 weeks ago. So they're minus 0.5%. So if you deposit money with the European bank, then it actually costs you money to leave your money there. So that's what the world is. So if you have cheap money, real estate goes up. So where the problem, and a lot of people tell me this as well. Like, I'm not the only person who thinks where the problem is what if the bank stopped lending, right? But then think about that, what that means. Does the bank want to stop lending? This is how they make money.
Or tighten.
Yeah, do they want to tighten? They don't want to.
Or interest rates go up.
Again, with everyone else cutting rates, if we raise rates, then we hurt our own economy. Mm-hmm. We hurt our exports, everything that we sell, that we export, like automotive, for example.
Everything affects everything.
Yeah. If you make our exports more expensive, you hurt our economy, right? And no one wants to do that, especially with an election coming up. So the biggest thing that I see as a threat is, there's a couple things. Like, is there's a lot more tenants than landlords, so the legislation probably won't favor us, anything that gets implemented. And then what if the banks stop credit lending? What if there's no more lending, right? So that'll hurt real estate values. But I've lived through the financial crisis. I was an investor through the financial crisis in 2007, 2008. And what happened? My rents went up. My vacancy was nothing because no one could buy, right? No one could get mortgages. So what are you left doing? Renting. So my rents went up, right? So what is the worst case? As long as you can hang on to your stuff, because we preach this to our clients as well. If you're flip, you want to do student rental, you want to rent to own, I don't care what your plan is. You have ready to own that property for 10 years, right? You have to be okay with the decision of owning that property for 10 years because I don't think we've ever seen a downturn that long, but you got to be able to weather the storm, right? And the storm's coming. Like, no one kid ourselves. Mm-hmm. It's just we've been so insulated from storms because we have so much immigration, right? The 2007, 2008 dip was almost nothing. If you go back and look at Toronto real estate prices, I think prices retreated for 2 months. The greatest recession in the world recession, and since like the Great Depression, and real estate prices in Toronto retreated 2 months. Like, and it's public information. Anyone can go look it up, right? And even if you bought in like 1989, look where it is today. Because I actually did the math. If you bought average piece of Toronto real estate in 1989, and then you sold it in like 2017, right? You still would have made like almost 7% a year, right? And I mean that's the price appreciation. If you put a down payment down of like 20%, you made a lot of money, right? Yeah, just like everything. I gotta be prepared to hold on. No different than the stock stuff I'm doing. You gotta be prepared to hold on. Mm-hmm. You gotta be able to, like I said, with real estate, I bought 2 houses on the decline of the market, right? It's no different than the stock stuff I'm doing. You have to be prepared to average in, right? Smartly though, right?
Yeah. I mean, like if the market goes down, it's only when you sell that you take a loss.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, a lot of real estate investors.
If you hung on, if you stayed, like the last 10 years have been great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think what I'm seeing from your analysis and from your perspective is like, there's so many things at play that actually that you can actually benefit from and you can protect yourself from.
Yeah. That's everything I do though. Whenever I read something, I'm always like, what's the lesson in this?
Yeah. What can you take away?
What can I take away? And then often is, how do I profit from this? Massive immigration, historically low interest rates, which are likely going lower, right? What else do you want to do? My rents are going up. I had a vacancy. My rent went up $300 a month from $1,500 to $1,800. I talked to my product managers. They're like a 1% vacant. It's a 1% vacancy basically. So this is just business, right?
There's still scarcity in the product.
Yeah,
there's not enough units.
And when is that going to change?
Yeah.
When is it?
How can it catch up when there's thousands and thousands of people moving in? So I think that's huge. People need to open their eyes and realize that that's an opportunity to position yourself to be able to take advantage of if you're not there already. So I think that's awesome.
It is awesome. And again, like, I treat this like a business. If you look at the crash of 1989, so, if you're going to invest as much money as we do in real estate, you should study up a little bit, in my opinion. Right? So I go look back at 1989. So, and this is when, so anyone who's taking advice from someone about real estate, so say whatever opinion they have, I'll start asking them some questions to test their knowledge. I'll ask something as simple as, what has to happen for interest rates to go up? If they don't have a good answer, I don't really care what their opinion is on real estate. right? And then for a deeper question would be, how bad was 1989, the housing crash in 1989? From peak to bottom, how much was it? Then they'll tell me. And then I'll advise them how it was. And then I'll ask them, how long did it take to get to the bottom? Right? It took about 4 years to get to the bottom. So even though it was I don't remember offhand, I think it was something like a 30% correction. So it took like 4 years to get there, to get to the bottom. So you could have sold at any point on the way down and not gotten slaughtered, right? But people don't know this.
Yeah.
They just said, oh, crashes, bubbles, interest rates that have to go up. Right? And so then I asked them further. And it's no different than anything. I'm honestly here to learn, right? Because what if I don't know who they are sometimes? So you tell me, tell me how this works. And I'm looking for people that will stress test my understanding, right? Because that's how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for lessons everywhere. And I'm looking for lessons from, for example, I talked to a lot of people from Alberta who invested in Alberta. How did you get through it? Right? And that's partly how we design our own investment strategy, right? I want to insulate my investment strategy for recessions. So my friends in Alberta, they've gone through 2 recessions in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Right? So if you want to learn from someone how to survive it, talk to one of them.
How do you weather the storm?
Yeah, how do you weather the storm? Yeah.
It's easy to look good when everything's going up.
Yeah.
It's easy to look good.
Yeah.
Like you're brilliant.
Yeah.
But when things are really tough, I mean, you started your investing career when it was tough for a lot of people, and people are very challenged. And I think people need to realize that if you are taking for granted that the market is doing so well and it's making you look smart, realize that you probably have not experienced the full cycle of the market.
Yeah.
And I think that reveals your character and reveals your intelligence when you are actually at the bottom of a market, and you can still act and you can still weather the storm and you can still think clearly and not just completely panic. So I think a lot of people are foreseeing the possibility of panic, the possibility of everything dropping. It's well, not if, when.
When, yeah.
This is it's going to happen.
Right.
What goes up must come down.
Right.
If it has a nature of going up, it is going to go down. The thing that started showing up for me recently is I was wondering the motivation. Do you become more motivated becoming a parent? Does that allow you to be more? I mean, because you're doing so many more videos now, right? You're actually putting yourself out there in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned to me, you're I'm going to do more videos, man. It's super uncomfortable. It feels super awkward doing it, but this is something so important, and all of it contributes to your business, and it contributes to what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And it's it's vulnerable, and it's what do people think of me, and how do I look right now, and am I speaking properly? Do I make sense? Right. So many things can show up being on video. So I'm wondering, does you being a parent create more drive and motivation for you to do things like that? Okay, I'm gonna, at this event, let's 10x it. Let's find a crazy keynote. All right, let's put ourselves out there, me and my wife. Let's do more videos. Let's show our face so much more and actually be more engaged, more active.
I don't know if they make me more motivated, but there's definitely some things they've tweaked in my head.
Tweaked?
Yeah. There's definitely some things that they've triggered. For example, my oldest is a girl. That's my daughter. So, any dads out there of daughters, they understand you're naturally very protective of them, right? Very protective. So, for example, she doesn't have a choice. She'll start doing jiu-jitsu soon enough, right? I've basically declared she's not allowed to go to university until she has a black belt, until she has the ability to end all fights, right? Basically, right? You've rolled too. You understand. You're in the black belts world. You're in a world of hurt.
I rolled for 5 minutes with one of the black belts.
Yeah.
And I think I got choked out. I got strangled 12 times.
That's not bad.
In 5 minutes.
That's not bad.
Well, he was letting me. I could tell.
Yeah.
He was giving me positions.
Yeah.
And then he would get out of them,
Yeah.
and then he would just
Yeah.
choke me from out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like with my own gi. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even
Yeah.
see this coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, I'm going to go dive deeper into it. But yeah,
Yeah.
like that level of intelligence, to fight intelligence,
They've had that much
to
practice.
end any fight.
Yeah.
So you want that for
Yeah, exactly. Like and for context for anyone, if you don't play hockey and you go play hockey against one of your kids, that's what it's like, right? There's no competition. They've had so much more practice than you. Doesn't really matter who they are or their physical ability. They've had that much practice. There's no competition. So there's that, and also there was my understanding is a lot of daughters will marry men who are like their fathers. So I have to set a really high bar, right? If this is something I can control, I'll set the bar as high as I can, right? And then the bar is so high.
In what way?
The bar is so high, like this person should be able to beat me up, right?
Yeah.
Because I'll be like 60, but right? But I'll probably have my black belt by then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But again, like they have to be better than me, right? Any daddy out there will appreciate the same thing. And then the same is, it's funny because the first time I saw this meme was with referring to your pet. Be the pet parent.
Be who you think, or be who your pet thinks
you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
And here I'm trying to be the parent my kids would be proud of.
Wow.
Right. And it's funny now. We're probably the first generation where these conversations are coming up because I'm having these conversations regularly with other parents. I don't want to raise spoiled kids, but you don't have these conversations unless you're doing well. And these are the people who are around me now.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's kind of funny that way. But yeah, that's how they motivate me. I want them to have context because kids they don't know, right? They have no idea what's going on. For example, when we did Basket Brigade stuff, we'll meet kids and they're so happy. They're so happy. They have no idea how hard they have it, right? We're delivering to them because they have trouble putting food on the table, affording clothing. Someone in the school board identified them as a need case.
Yeah.
Right? The kids are happy as hell, right? That's their context.
Yeah. So when they get older and they can recall some of those memories and they can start understanding a little bit more, that appreciation really gets ingrained.
Where I was going was I want my kids to know public speaking is normal, right? I'll hang Christmas lights. I mentioned I have deathly fear of heights. I'll go hang Christmas lights and pretend I'm not scared so that my kids have context that you're not supposed to be scared of heights. I'm afraid of spiders. When I see a spider, I don't act like I'm scared for their benefit because I don't want to teach them to be afraid of spiders. I'm a landlord. I bring my kids to meet my tenants. I don't want them to think collecting rent money from tenants is a bad thing, right? It's all about providing them context, right? Because that'll become a part of who they are and what they think is normal. Because what we do is not normal, right? Which is weird because I'm not that different than anybody else. I'm a pretty normal guy.
But it's being weird is where like you're an explorer. You're one of the first people going into the abyss and then coming back so that you can share the benefits with us, so that we could actually gain the wisdom that you've gained along your path.
Yeah.
And I think we all need those, right? We need those pioneers who are willing to stick their neck out, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like you're sticking your neck out there. You're risking yourself. You're risking being judged. You're risking making a mistake. You're taking leaps. And then, like even you said, like with Wealth Hacker, you're like, yeah, it'll be a good case study. And when people are looking to learn how to create like a similar kind of event, like we'll have a story. We'll have a great story. We'll have a great template. A lot of lessons learned. So you're already far beyond the event. You're looking at there's other things that people will benefit from.
Absolutely,
just me going through this,
right?
Which is a different mindset for a lot of people. I think it's tough to go beyond the immediate challenges and obstacles and then look outside of ourselves and like think a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and a little bit more long term. So it's great to have that example, like you as an example.
I just think it's when people try to talk to something they have no experience about, like, take it for what it's worth. And then I'm just here to share. Like, for example, I have a member of IWIN who joined us from the very beginning. And he was, I didn't find out directly. I found out through my wife because he was talking to that person's wife. So I found out indirectly how his mind was just blown by a presentation I gave because my Airbnb is not doing well. Right. It's a suburban property, because it's not near touristy stuff and doesn't have great transportation, stuff like that. That's why it didn't perform well. So that's actually the house I'm going to sell to fund my stock trading account. But anyways, but the gentleman, my member was saying how nobody ever shares failures from stage. Right.
That's funny because I was literally just about to ask you something that you did that was wrong.
Yeah, this was wrong.
Like a mistake or
this was a mistake.
Yeah.
I spent like $15,000 to furnish this house. Right. I could, I think anyone listening to this can think of better things to do with $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's just to furnish it. We renovated it nice too for Airbnb purposes. Right. Again, I'm not saying it's not a good strategy. Ours is a little different because we pay 20% to a property manager, because we want this to be as passive as possible. Well earned money. I'm not judging that as well earned money. Anyone who wants to do this, anyone who wants to have a lot of properties and scale, you have to be able to outsource things. So again, not judging. And so yeah, that's it.
That didn't work out
didn't work out. There's lots of cases where I've seen
you don't beat yourself up?
No.
Yeah, you don't.
No. No, you move forward. Right?
You're just like, okay, well, let's fold. Like, well, let's put it on the market. Let's sell it and then move on.
No one's going to
don't get bogged down by it.
No, because no one's going to pick you up. Right?
Yeah. What do you say to the people who do? Like, I'm one of the people who sometimes I'm just like, I get sucked into it.
Right. No, it's action. Because go back to how we got this property it was a student rental. Right.
So you already had it.
We already had it. It was a student rental. We had one really bad tenant who vandalized the property. Right. Couldn't get him out. Cops wouldn't do anything. He was a bully to the other tenants, so we couldn't rent it out. All these problems, right? And then when we finally got him out, then we did the Airbnb strategy. So again, it didn't work out. But then, end of the day, no one cares. No one cares if you have problems, right? No one cares if you're broke. No one cares you can't retire when you're 65, right? Because no one's going to do anything about it, right? There are some people like me that are out there to try to help people, but I can't help someone retire at 65 unless they try, unless they put up the effort.
Yeah.
Because the proof is in the pudding. We've done it for many people. We have over 100 investor clients who all have positive cash flowing property. I'm not here to pitch anything. But yeah, failed lots. I've shared it on my podcast where people have failed. Like Tom Sullivan, for example, came on my podcast. I specifically asked him because he's in the middle of a lawsuit with his joint venture partner. What happened?
Man.
Right? And so that's to share some lessons is anytime you give up control of your money, there's always risk. Right? Tom's case, oh boy, like didn't see the property. It was like an hour drive from Montreal. Like there are all these potential landmines, and I saw them before he saw them because I've just been around longer. Right? Not to disparage Tom, it's just there was so many steps of due diligence that were missed.
Oh man.
Right? And then his own partner didn't do enough due diligence because they ended up in court for a reason. Right. And that's, so I'm not saying you can't partner with anyone. I still have people managing some of my funds. It just takes a lot of vetting. Right.
So speaking of partners, you and your wife.
Yeah.
Power couple.
No.
Tag team.
No.
How's that? Like, I find that it's not a common thing that husband and wife will partner in business.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, one of the challenges is, when do you draw the line? Like, where's the boundary of, we're going to talk about work now.
Yeah.
And then we're just hanging out. We're just being together, enjoying our life together, our family. Mm-hmm. But like now your lives are intertwined in so many different ways. Yeah. And, it could be such a benefit because now you're together in it. Like you're both invested in it and you're both going to benefit from it, your family, your future, your generations. But also at the same time, it's like when things are challenging, like things are frustrating. Like how does that play out together?
No different than for any other couple. It's challenging. This time is challenging. Usually it's not this challenging. We don't have
because of Wealth Hacker.
Because of the investment we made, the time requirements, there's so many things we've learned.
Like it's creating strains.
Oh yeah. And like even right now I can feel the stress of the event. I've never been this stressed in a really long time. But we'll fight.
You don't look stressed.
That's
more like an internal thing that you go through.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we fight like other couples do as well. Just we fight over this, right? We'll fight over our properties and stuff like that as well. But the nice thing though is that Cherry understands our business so well that it's there's no unknowns, right? There are unknowns. Mm-hmm. It's not the same unknown, right? For example, this is where we have a lot of challenges with clients are when they have, say, a married couple, when one partner is completely against the idea of investing, right? One is completely wanting to invest. And then once they do invest, something goes slightly wrong, not even really wrong. Like for us who are been this for a while, when a tenant leaves, it means you can raise the price of rent. So like, yay, good thing, right? Yeah. In this kind of relationship, tenant leaves, sky's over, sky's falling, sell a property, right? And that causes friction there, right? Because one partner really doesn't understand it all, right? Versus my wife has a pretty good understanding.
You're on the same page.
Yeah, she has a pretty good understanding of everything I'm up to. And just generally, she's quite supportive of what we do, right? Yeah, like even with the stock stuff, which is new, she attended the same course that I did. And so she understood it conceptually. She knows the same people that I know, that they are able to do this.
Yeah, tell us. So you've been doing a lot of posts about the
I actually haven't done anything different. It's just people pay attention to it.
I think people are commenting more maybe, and there's a lot more engagement with it.
There's a lot more engagement.
So I would love to know where did that come from?
Right.
The interest in working on, like stock trading and options and things like that, which to me is like, it's foreign.
Right. It's crazy that it's foreign because once you start practicing it, you're going to freak out and like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I shared a YouTube video.
What's a broad, view of it all?
Broad view. So it's not an easy thing to explain to people who don't have finance backgrounds in stocks and bonds and puts and calls and stuff like that. So the easiest way to explain it is I am being paid to buy stocks at prices I want. And I'm doing this on blue chip stocks. All the American stocks that I'm trading on are owned by Warren Buffett. And I get paid to do this. And I get paid up front. Right? Bit more complicated is I'm basically insuring stock prices. Again, these are stocks that are blue chip. This is not a recommendation. This is just sharing what I'm doing. But for example, I did Bank of America today. Right? Literally like 2 hours before this recording, Bank of America. Because it's one of the biggest banks we've seen in the past. It's too big to fail. During the 2007, 2008 crisis, it went down to $4. Too big to fail. Right? Now it's $28. Number 2 holding by Warren Buffett is Bank of America. So if I go broke on Bank of America, something happened in the world. Right? And again, go back to what we talked about real estate. You have to be ready and willing to bear the word of the storm. Because that's what I am. But that's why I chose something so safe. Yeah. Right?
So it's still conservative. Because I think some people would get the first impression like risky and...
Oh, absolutely. Everyone thinks this is risky.
Yeah.
The
that was my first impression. It's like, I'm like, Erwin's getting into...
Right.
Because that didn't match what I know.
Oh, I hate risk.
Yeah.
I hate risk. But again... End of the day, I have to own Bank of America for less than the current stock market price. So, for example, I'm insuring Bank of America at $25.50. It's currently trading at $28. Right? If I have to pay $25.50 for it, I'm a lot better off than anyone else in the market.
Got it.
Right? And also, I was paid to do it. I was paid 1%. I was paid 25 cents
upfront.
Contract is 100 shares, so I was paid $25.
And this is something that is going to be talked about and taught at Wealth Hacker Conference.
My friends Omar and Matthew have they've been doing this for 12 years experience. They've made lots of mistakes along the way until they refined this strategy. And these guys, they earn a mid-level 6-figure income.
Just from this
30 minutes a day. And as a result of doing this still works beautifully for real estate because they took their income from doing stock hacking to Omar owns over 30 properties, over 100 doors, some of it's some large commercial stuff. And Matthew bought 10 properties, right? So this all works beautifully. And how I funded my account $10,000 to start. So, you should take baby steps, right? I took equity out on my student rental to fund this account. And as I shared earlier, because I'm earning such a higher yield, right now my return on investment is 4% in 5 weeks. I've collected $920 in cash. So that's why I'm selling.
Wow.
I have a lot of real estate. I don't have any equities, stocks, bonds, anything like that. And so this is just a bit of diversification.
So
and also I want more yield.
You recommend people to be at a certain
I'm not recommending
level.
anything.
Okay, you're not. Yeah. So there's no recommendation, but it sounds more like, something that you're going to dive into at the conference so that people who are interested and want to find out, like, am I ready? Like how much do I need to know? Like, where do I need to be at? They're going to find that out.
They're going to find that out. And I've been down this path as well. Omar, I've known Omar for a long time because we belong to the same real estate investment network, the same one that you belong to as well. And then there's one day he told me, "Do you know what I do?" And I go, "Yeah, you do stock stuff." He goes, "No, it's not what I do." So he explained to me what he does, how much money he makes doing it. And he told me to read 2 books. So I read those 2 books right away. I ordered them right away. And then I did nothing because, it sounds too complicated. I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, it's not in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was new.
Absolutely. Just like people.
But you were willing to entertain it. You were willing to.
No, I wasn't willing to entertain it until this past April. We ran into each other at a restaurant.
Oh, I mean, reading it though. Like you were willing to read and expose yourself.
I crushed those books.
Yeah.
I crushed those books within 30 days.
But you didn't take action on it.
Didn't take action on it.
Okay.
Life gets in the way. I'm busy.
There's all this other stuff that's working.
All this other stuff.
There's all this stuff.
Yeah. Real estate's working well. Real estate's working wonderfully. If anyone doesn't know, right? If it's honestly anyone doesn't know. And then in April, I ran into him, and we're friends, right? Acquaintances. He sat down with us, and he goes. And the funny thing is, even though he makes a lot of money, his nickname is the Communist because he loves paying tax. He loves Canada. Like, he's traveled lots.
Oh, wow.
No different than I love Canada. I love being Canadian.
Yeah.
Paying taxes, the cost of living here, and it's worth it, right? So he's bugging me again. You doing stocks yet? You doing stock options yet? And I said, no.
See the importance of the right people around you, right? Giving you the nudge, and the reminder.
Absolutely.
Because you weren't ready before.
Wasn't ready
but
before.
This nudge,
but understand
the timing, right?
This is the nudge, though. The nudge was, hey, you know Adriano? Yeah, I know Adriano. My electrician. So the same electrician who took the knob and tube wiring out of this Airbnb I'm selling, he's my electrician.
Yeah.
He goes, he's my electrician too. I tell him to make 6 figures in his first 12 months. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Like, my electrician can do this? Right? So then I was thinking, maybe I can do this too. So then I started. Right? And then once we were getting into it, I talked to Adriano. Like, I had a good hour-long conversation with him, understood that he was doing really well. Right? And I told Omar, we got to share this with the world. Because there's way too much financial struggle out there.
So it's like you learned it and you experienced the benefit of it, and now you're turning around and you're using what you're skilled at and helping him multiply the value.
Yeah.
Like help impact other people by teaching it and training it.
Because
that's huge.
Understand, I already think nobody knows who I am. If no one knows who I am, in turn, nobody knows who Omar is. But at least I have an audience, right? So I said, Omar, we got to share this with the world.
Amazing, man.
Right? Because he's already taught 50 of his friends how to do this. And you and I know a lot of them.
Wow.
Right? You're having lunch with one of them next week, and he's doing really well. And what is his training? He's a jazz guitarist. Yeah. That is his formal educational background. And you can ask him, get him on the podcast.
And he's doing well in stocks.
He's doing well in this as well. Yeah. And he's brought down his retirement age probably 10, 15 years, and also a much more lucrative retirement age, as in he'll be earning a lot more money. And that's why I said at the beginning, I am so much clearer on what my retirement's going to look like And it's
Having
going to be
two
sooner.
things now.
Well, I still have 3 things. I still have a lot of things.
Well, you have the business. I mean, in terms of just real estate, just in investments,
Investing.
like real estate,
Yeah.
and then the stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because businesses, that's the animal that gets it all going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But even if nothing else changes, even if my business doesn't grow from after the event, it does quite well.
Mm-hmm. My
portfolio is doing very well, and I can just do this stock hacking stuff as a side hustle. I'm fine. I can live a very happy life.
Well, this is I want to wrap it up because I know you have so many more things to do today, and you have so much on your plate, man. Yeah. But the thing that I get from the conversation today is just like the visions that I have is how disconnected everybody feels. And, just being overwhelmed and bombarded with so much information and kind of feeling like paralyzed because of all that information.
A lot of it doesn't work either.
Yeah. And a lot of it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, one of the most important studies that I've heard about is called the Grant study. And they looked at 70 years, they looked at these 2 different groups and they asked, okay, what contributes to longevity and to health and to well-being? And they found that it was relationships, connections. And it's different when you are actually in proximity with people doing things that you might think is impossible.
Right.
Just like you, right? Like you're in proximity with someone like Omar who opened up a window and said, hey, look, can you see that? Yeah. Like this is what I'm doing. Yeah. And the guy that you hire for your properties as an electrician, he's also doing that. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, because you're in these relationships and these connections, you start to open up your eyes, and it's not just something you read in a book or some video that you saw online. It was like real, tangible. You can experience it. You'd be like, oh my God, if they can do it, of course I can do it. And I think, if anything, with your conference coming up, that's what I look forward to. I look forward to people being in the same vicinity of one another and starting to discover, okay, I can take control of my life. There's things that I can do to increase my wealth capacity for me and my family. There is abundance out there. And there's support. And there's people out there who are doing it.
Yeah.
And they've done it. They have 10 times, 100 times more experience doing it. And they will walk the path with you. And I think that's super powerful. So that's the thing that I'm excited about when it comes to your conference, man.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about who you'd say is for and what we can look forward to?
It's for anyone. Right. We even have some college kids coming. We have seniors coming, because honestly, anyone can come and have takeaway items that they can implement right away to improve their wealth. And wealth includes health as well.
Yes.
It includes family life as well. Because honest to goodness, if you have a lot of money that you don't have to work that hard for, you're going to probably have a pretty good family life. Right. Because what's the number one thing people fight about at home? It's usually money.
Money.
Kind of sad, eh?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, like I said, everyone's going to walk away with lessons on how they can improve their lives. And then, of course, anyone who wants to come with us further, understand people who come to my world, I feel it's my duty to make sure they're successful. Right? For example, I have 2 mentees right now.
You take it seriously.
Oh, I take it really seriously. Yeah. Right? Anyone who's been following my journey, I have a gentleman whose name is David Chung. He lost his dad about 2 years ago. 17 years old, immigrant kid. Right? So I'm going to make sure, I've told him many times, if you want to be rich, I'll make sure you get there. Right. And I have another member of my group. He's now 25. Same thing. His parents are immigrants. He's got his first job. Good kid. He works 3 jobs. And I said, if you want it, I'll make sure you're rich. Right. Because first of all, it starts with wanting it.
Yeah. You have to choose.
Yeah. You have to choose. You have the courage. You have to want it. Right.
And then ask for the help, ask for the support.
Don't even have the help. You just come in my world. It's better if you ask for my help. If you're in my world, meaning that,
I think that's the implicit asking for support, right? As soon as they're in your world, because you're all about, well, how can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I be of service to this person? Yeah.
Because understand, often, again, I'm no expert at everything. Often it can just be an introduction, right? I have friends who just one introduction blew up their careers. For the one for someone was worthy of becoming an influencer in a subject area. I made an introduction, blew up. right? And I'll do that for people in my life who are worthy.
Yeah.
But again, it's, I only have so much time in my life. So anyone that can understand, if you're my client, I owe you a much greater duty of care versus someone who reaches out over social media.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Right? Like they pay me very well.
Well, that's why you do so many of the things that you do, because there's different levels of engagement and value being added.
Yeah.
You listen to the podcast. You can, read your work online. You can go to your meetups.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can go to this conference. You can actually engage with you and your team. Like, there's so many different levels of being able to be impacted by the work and the expertise that you have.
Yeah. Or you can talk to anyone that I've already helped.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the other thing that's happening is, like, there's people who have been, their lives have been transformed because of your guidance, and they're turning around, and what are they doing?
Yeah.
They're finding their own ways to multiply and continue the ripple. That's being the change, right?
That's absolutely being the change.
Yeah.
Someone asked me today, like, how are you the change? It's like, I don't even know how to answer that. Come talk to anyone in my world.
Yeah.
Right. Talk to anyone who's really close to me.
Just have to watch.
Yeah. Or watch.
Just have to watch and pay attention.
Yeah.
Because that's the best way to actually see it in action.
Yeah.
And you don't know, like, the difference that you've made in my life, like, just spending time with you, like, you introduced me to jiu-jitsu and the academy, and I got some bruises from that. I was like, how did I get bruises? I got bruises from the gi around the neck, like always getting tugged at it. I was like, oh my God, pains that I never felt before.
Right.
Working,
when you get in a
working
fight,
out together, and
when you get in a fight, you'll be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Even just some of the basics that I've learned so far.
Yeah.
And when I'm ready, then I'll commit even further. But being on your show, and actually just, like, the relationship that we have, like, I value it, and it's important to me. And any way that I can support you and help you grow, the value that you're creating and the transformation that you're making possible for so many people, I'll do everything in my power to help do that.
Thank you.
And it would be it's my pleasure to do that. So with that said, can you tell us where we can find information and tickets for the Wealth Hacker Conference?
Website's wealthhacker.ca. Again, www.wealthhacker.ca. Couldn't believe that was available. You have your own promo code.
Yeah, use the promo code Oliver.
Hopefully you have. It's easiest if you send out the link and your show notes in your email, because people have trouble finding where to put the promo code.
Yeah, I'll put in the intro and the outro to the podcast as well, so people are reminded of it.
Yeah. There's 3 levels of tickets. I only do VIP when I go anywhere, because I want the short list of people to sit with, if I can afford it.
Being in proximity again, right?
Yeah. Being in proximity.
Smart.
People with the VIP get to meet and greet Grant, have their picture with him. There's also a VIP lunch. We only have 100 tickets. So I know who's in the VIP, and those are people you want to be with, for people who, for the optimal networking. But again, if it's not in your budget, being in the room, you're going to learn a lot, right? Like, real estate has changed my life, right? Tom and Nick, Marianne Gillespie, they've changed my life. So I've been through all this. Omar and Matthew are changing my life. I've never thought possible. I actually don't think I'm that far away from making a pretty good, from being away from 6 figures away. I don't think I'm that far away from earning 6 figures over 12 months from my phone anywhere in the world. Half an hour a day. Right. And I earned way more than that in real estate, I understand. Just an investor. But together, it all works beautifully. Yeah. I can't wait to show you. When we're done the recording, I'll show you. I'll whip out my phone and show you how easy it is. Like, honest to goodness, I was walking to a bathroom just last week, and the market was still open. I opened my phone, like, oh, that trade looks good. Input price, good for today. Chose a stock, obviously. I chose a stock based on what one of my coaches are teaching me, what they did themselves. Made that decision. Again, not recommending anything. And swipe right. It is swipe right. I choose you, swipe right. Yeah. And then I collected $78 US right then and there. Just like that. And then I continued in the bathroom.
Oh my God. I can't wait to see.
Right. And then I'm going to scale this up. right? I'm looking to literally 10, 20x the funding of my account by selling one of my investment properties. And again, I'm not selling them all, I'm just selling one.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a portion.
This is a portion
of what you're doing.
This is a portion.
Yeah. And it complements what you're doing.
Complements beautifully. Requires only half an hour a day. Right.
Love it.
Yeah. And and we've already had one group go through this. So we had 100 students go through the course already. We're not announcing the next course until at Wealth Hacker Conference on November 9th. And yeah, if you want it, like I said, you got to be motivated. The people, I can see it. I know exactly who's really motivated. For example, we have one mom who just had her second, and she is absolutely determined to not have to go back to work. Right. And she probably has a 6-figure job. I'm pretty sure she does, based on her education and her position. Right. But she's looking to replace that income. And I'm pretty sure she'll do it. Right. So anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. My electrician can do this. I have a whole ton of real estate investor friends who've done it. Our mutual friend who's a trained jazz guitarist is doing it. He's making way more than I am. But yeah, I'm so excited about this.
Wicked, man.
Yeah.
This is so big.
We're going to change lives.
For you.
We're going to change lives.
Oh my God.
Right? Because if people can get to where I am, just like where I am, like I said,
that's already a big deal.
I've never in my head, I know how much closer retirement is, and a very comfortable one.
Yeah.
Right. And everything I've done, I just want for everyone else. Right. You don't have to ever talk to me again. I don't care. But if you're a good person and you make a lot of money, you're probably donating to your charity. You probably might donate to my charity. You're going to help all those around you. You're going to change your life for the better. And if you leave my world just like that, you make your world better. I am a happy person.
Yeah, you've done your job.
I'm just happy. I'm just happy. Like, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email later. Like, tell me that you were successful, and that's all I ever need. I don't even care about the money, right? Because I honestly don't need to make more money. I can be just fine the way things are, right? But we're going to influence change. We're going to create a lot of value, donate a whole lot more to my charities, and call me greedy.
Do more good.
Do more good. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be all these foster kids who will have very nice Christmases.
Erwin, man, what a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Thanks, Oliver.
So stoked for you.
Sorry for blabbing.
That's what you're here for. Dropping the wisdom bombs, man. Oh my God.
Anyone can do this. I just like to leave people with that. You know me, I'm no one special.
You're humble. You're a modest man. You are a special person. And I think that's just your inability to receive.
Could be that.
Right?
Because, I have issues.
Again, like, ask around the people who've been impacted by you, and they will say how they've, the transformation that's been possible in their lives. Mm-hmm. And that's because of what you've opened up for them. Mm-hmm. That's because of the work that you're doing. So that's no small matter. And I acknowledge you and I appreciate you. I fucking celebrate you. Oh
Thanks, bro.
Celebrate you for this. Like, this, it's not small. Like, this, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You're going to have 1,000 people in this room.
Oh, we're training a lot more.
You're going to have 1,000 people in this room who they're going to learn things. They're going to see things. They're going to do things that they never thought was possible before. Yeah. And it was because you just pointed the way. You said,
hopefully,
hey, I'm going to create this atmosphere where you can dive deep and be around all the right people. Yeah. And it's going to open your eyes. It's going to open your ears. It's going to open your mind. Mm-hmm. And then you do what you can from what you learn. And then your life is going to be transformed. That's huge. Like, that's a big deal. That speaks to who you are at your core.
Just trying to help.
Yeah.
Trying to help change the world.
Love it, man.
Be the change.
Pleasure.
Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world. Are you newer to real estate investing or unsure where to invest next? Would you like to know what the best areas are to invest near the GTA for the best returns on investment? Then you found the right place, as we're here to help both new investors to seasoned professionals. We have helped hundreds of everyday men and women buy their first investment property to their 10th property. It's easier than you think. Hi, my name is Erwin, and you may know me as the host of this podcast, and I'm also the owner of the iWin Real Estate Team, the 4-time Realtor of the Year to investors, as per the Real Estate Investment Network and the Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine. They've awarded us twice each. My team of investor coaches are licensed real estate professionals who help everyday, hardworking men and women from the GTA grow their real estate portfolio in the most efficient way possible. You are welcome to use any professional or contractor you want, but you're welcome to our own personal Rolodex of professionals. The same people I use personally to build my wealth
and become a successful real estate investor. And no, we don't share this list to non-clients. If you're too busy, we understand. You have better things to do. You have dinner with the family, watch the kids play sports. What we do different is we preview properties on your behalf to pre-screen only the ones that are ideal investment properties. Many of our clients, including ones featured on this podcast, will even make conditional offers on a home inspection so they can both beat the competition and have a chance to view the property before making a final decision during the professional home inspection. After the purchase, we can refer you to our favorite property manager, who is a former police officer with 20 years experience with the local police department. He also happens to be well over 6 feet tall and 220 pounds, with a keen eye for finding you a great worry-free tenant, so tenants never call you, and you can go on enjoying life knowing your investment property is taken care of. As an added bonus of as being our client, he actually only takes referrals from us. And note that this property manager is the most well-reviewed property manager I've ever seen in my city. You have trouble getting financing? You're in luck. My personal mortgage broker is the best I've ever seen in my investing career. Again, you're welcome to work with anyone you want. This just happens to be the one that I use personally. You may just be talking to the wrong people about a mortgage, whereas my guy has more relationships with various banks and lenders that others just don't have, and they're often less expensive. For any of the above, if you're interested, go to www.truthaboutrealestateinvesting.ca/contact. Again, that's www.truthaboutrealestateinvesting.ca/contact. Fill out the form, and one of the coaches I've personally trained will get back to you. Now, if you don't have a down payment or you don't earn enough income, well, on the first few properties I bought, I actually bought with my in-laws. I partnered with family. They're now my ex-in-laws. But if you don't have family to partner with, then I would suggest you learn how to hack stocks, like my past guests of this podcast, Omar Khan and Matthew Todman. That's 2 different episodes if you want to go back and have a listen to them. They both earn mid-level 6-figure incomes in only 30 minutes a day by getting paid to own blue chip stocks at prices they want anyways. It's almost money for nothing, as per Robert Kiyosaki says. He also says that knowing how to sell stock options is a must for any professional investor. Professional investors include those who know stocks and real estate. If this interests you, go to www.wealthhacker.ca/stock. Again, that's www.wealthhacker.ca/stock.